The first requirement in the journey of self-actualization is to gain a clear understanding of your self-image. Very important. And I know this, you hear this a lot in terms of, especially these days, when it comes to personality development, when it comes to self-help area, right? It comes up a lot, your self-image. Now, without the self-image, we can't get very far with the self. And the self is the totality of your consciousness. Now, so the self-image is something that emerges in early childhood as a product of parental conditioning and the influence that is all around us in the society that we live in when we are growing up. And now this self-image begins to control the rest of your consciousness. And because we identify it with it by default, it becomes the central core of your consciousness. So you'll pay a lot of attention to it and miss out the other aspects of your psyche, of your consciousness, or of yourself. So let's understand the dangers of this attention or feeding into this self-image as you know of. Well, the dangers are very clear, very evident. You can see it already. Your attention and energy of your entire life will go into satisfying the needs of this imaginary entity that is created by you. But on the contrary, this might not be bad at all, because the self that you're going to bring into being, if it's a reasonable entity, then that can shape your personality very strongly. But these cases are very seldom in the world, and that's why there is a lot of neurosis in the world, because they're very seldom. Now, for example, children who are abused, and then the child may grow up becoming more hopeless and vindictive of its self-image. And there are children who are indulged too much without being loved, may create a narcissistic self, which a self that grows to be insatiable, that has an exaggerated idea of importance of oneself. Now you see the dangers of a distorted self, which nevertheless feels compelled to satisfy its needs or to feed into that imaginary entity. You can see that around you. Like some people who they think need more power, more money, more love, more this, more that. They'll do everything to satisfy their needs, even beyond what is good for them, and at the cost of destruction of others and the world. And this is what is called an ill-conceived ego. So now you understand what self-image is, and now you understand how important it is, and now you understand the ways of actually looking at it, observing it, understanding it, and not let it rule the entire content of your consciousness. So you got to be really careful, because this is a very destructive force, and this is one of the most fundamental problems in the world, that the self-image that you have, and when you're not very aware of that, can become so destructive. It can create a whole lot of tyranny in the world. It can make you malevolent. On the contrary, it can make you a genius. It can make you an achiever. I mean, there are different possibilities. There are different directions that it can actually go into. So, hence, this is what I think self-image is, and why it is important to recognize your self-image that way.